It's been a heck of a week for Nintendo news, man. And I just was thinking to myself, listening to podcast after podcast, and then video after video. I've subscribed to quite a few people, and so it's just I'm listening to all, because one thing, listening to so many people will help, I guess, round out your own opinion. I mean, it's true that maybe sometimes your opinion is best left unaltered by anyone else's opinion, but sometimes, I mean, the way I look at it is that other people's thoughts can help balance out the way you think, or at least me. But anyway, the Nintendo, not Nintendo Switch per se, well, yeah, them, but all the Nintendo, well, most of the Nintendo consoles, I guess, they have these gimmicks, man, and it kind of, I don't think it doesn't bother me like that, but it does bother me, like, I'm looking at Nintendo's, to me, last really, really great console, the Super Nintendo. It didn't really have any gimmicks, I mean, maybe the controller design, the step up on the controls maybe was a gimmick, or maybe the processing, the graphics processing it was a gimmick. I don't know, but it was, and for the most part, from like my experience with it, it was just a straightforward console, man, like a straight upgrade to the regular NES. Wasn't no gimmicks, man. You just bought games for it and you played them, and that was the end of it, I guess, or the best part of it. It was simple, it was great. It did what it was supposed to do, and Nintendo at the time was a competitor. Graphics was a big thing at that time. It was just it was a competitor, man. It was great. And so then comes, I think, the N64, man, and that's, to me, was the first time for gimmicks, man. It had the analog stick. I believe it was the first analog stick on any console, and shit, I guess that was pretty much it. I can't think of any other gimmicks for it other than that. No, I really can't. I guess that's it. It was just the analog stick for the most part, in that weird shape for the controller. And then let's move on to the GameCube. The GameCube gimmick, I guess, was just that it was supposed to be smaller than the controller was. It was cool, but it was weird, It felt good, but it was just weird. And then it had a handle on the back, I guess, for being portable. I guess this was just like Nintendo's, start, or for moving into that direction of wanting something that was portable, something that you could take, to play at people's, other people's crib, and this, that, and the other. It was easy to take around with you and whatnot. And then let's move on to the Wii U, the big, not the Wii U, but the Wii. And that's where the gimmicks really, really came to a head, because it was like motion control, and then what else was it? It was small. The motion control was just the biggest gimmick, man. The controller was oversimplified. It was a lot, man, and that's what Nintendo was using to sell the console. And honestly, it worked, because it sold the most. It sold everything. It sold things that weren't even Nintendo related. It sold so much, but that was the gimmick, man. And then, I don't really need to continue on, because the next Nintendo, the Wii U, had the screen and on the controller, and then we're at the Switch, with its gimmicks. And it's just crazy that Nintendo is heavily relying on gimmicks to sell the product, instead of just really coming out with games. I don't know if Nintendo would be in a better place if they decided to compete against, what is it? I can't even think. Xbox and PlayStation. But I think it would be great to have 3 competitors out there like that. Yeah, it probably might seem kind of redundant to have 3 consoles in the space, but man, wouldn't that make it that much more competitive, that much cheaper maybe? And then, the news would probably be off the chain. Just think about it. If Nintendo was competing, what would be happening in the gaming industry? I mean, technically they are competing whether they want to or not, but it's just in Nintendo's mind, they really aren't. And they kind of aren't in a way because third party can't be released on the same level as it is on, Xbox and PlayStation. But Nintendo's approach kind of reminds me of Apple. And maybe they took a page out of Apple's book, or maybe Apple took a page out of Nintendo's book, man. It's just funny because Apple has these gimmicks, man, that they sell their products on, like 3D Touch. That was a gimmick. And then what was the next one? They had Apple's had quite a few, but not a whole lot. But that's the main one I could think of. Oh wait, on their new laptop they got that bar on the top, the touch bar or whatever. I mean, it's things, I guess, that aren't necessarily the norm, man, and it makes it harder for the consumer to replace if anything happens to it, or to tell someone else about it, or to make something to use on something that's, I guess, regular. No, I mean, I'm not the smartest, knife in the drawer, man, or fork or whatever. I just do this stuff. I talk what I can on the fly, man, and sometimes I can catch these things and sometimes I don't. But it's just, I notice it. I hope y'all notice it, the gimmicks, man. And I don't necessarily think that gimmicks sell a console or should sell a console. The games first and foremost, and then the quality of the games, after that, in my opinion. And then, everything else kind of come down the line, like, services and online. Well, online and services are kind of, in the same thing. And it's just stuff like that, man. And Nintendo has it in them to do it. Hopefully for the next console they'll do it, because the Switch don't seem like it's gonna be like, long term like that. Like, it's just, to me, they're gonna be there. It's gradually gonna replace the 3DS over time, and then they're probably gonna release a serious home console, to I guess to complement the Switch. That's the way I see it. But anyway, I'm out, man. I didn't even think I would talk this long. All right, peace.